Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next, Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft Singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft Singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft Singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate, just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata Lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
Marriage advice?
Well, marriage is adult education. My degree, I would say, is wifeology, which is the study of female facial movement. Eyebrow angles I study, dental alignment, nostril expansion, oxygen
Yes.
for emotional expressiveness. See, being a wife is an art. Being a husband is a science. Men, we calculate, we listen, like for louder than usual closings of doors or drawers. That sounded different. Something is happening.
Yeah, that's correct.
Divorce I don't really get. I mean, I understand in certain circumstances, but for the most part, whatever you have, that's the best we have. That's it. Do people wish it was better? Of course you wish. But of course you're a little disappointed. They're disappointed in you too.
Good morning. It's Friday, Parenting Friday, October the 17th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and the collapse of parenting. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you, Maria and her cohorts, and then Stu.
Our panel, Ashley Davis.
Well, my first thought is I'm glad I'm not doing those state fairs anymore with political candidates. They're brutal. But second of all, I'm really watching the Scott Bessent conversation today with his counterpart from China to see if there's any movement on the trade deal.
Good point. John Lonsky.
Problems with subprime auto loans will be well contained. This is not about to be a repeat of the mortgage crisis of 2008, 2009. And by the way, the $1.6 trillion of auto loans, well under the $13.5 trillion of outstanding mortgage loans.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. You're right. There's real worries about that. Ashley Davis, John Lonsky, great to be with you this morning. Don't miss my exclusive interview with President Trump this weekend on Sunday Morning Futures at 10 a.m. Eastern, his first sit-down since brokering the historic peace deal in the Middle East. Let's send it right over to Stu. Varney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
Hold on a second, Maria. Congratulations. I saw you yesterday at the White House. The president picked on you twice. I saw your interview. You are one of the hardest working people in television, and that's a fact. Congratulations, Maria. It's great stuff.
Thank you so much, Stu.
And good morning to you, okay?
You're so gracious. Have a great show, Stu.
Good morning, everyone. Here we go. Up until a couple of hours ago, the stock market was all set for a big sell-off. Then excerpts from Maria's interview with the president were released, and things changed a lot. The president said, we are doing very well with China. He's going to meet with Xi Jinping in 2 weeks. Also today, Treasury Secretary Bessent is going to hold a phone call with a top Chinese official. There is talk of a breakthrough. At 7 o'clock this morning, the Dow was down about 400 points. Now, different story. The Dow is up 24, small loss for the S&P, NASDAQ down 86. Big losses, largely reversed. Bitcoin is down. Looks like it's staying down, too. We're at 107,000 now, 107,100. Earlier, you were down to 104. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, it was 126. Gold keeps going up. Look at that. $4,319 an ounce. Silver holding well above $50 an ounce. You're looking at 52 even right now. Oil below $60 a barrel. Again, 57.50. And look at gas. It keeps on falling. $3.05 a gallon for regular. By next week, the national average may be below $3. You know, it is shaping up to be a big weekend for the president's foreign policy. Something's going on around Venezuela. Another suspected drug boat blown up. Special Forces helicopters spotted near the coast. There's a $50 million bounty on Maduro. And the president has authorized CIA covert action. Something is going on. Zelensky arrives at the White House this afternoon. He wants Tomahawk missiles to attack Russia deep inside Russian territory. Putin has agreed to a meeting soon with Trump. He spoke for 2 hours with our president Thursday. Something's going on with Ukraine. On the show today, we'll check out last night's mayoral debate in New York. My opinion, neither Andrew Cuomo nor Curtis Sliwa laid a glove on Zoran Mandani. And a new Fox poll shows him extending his lead. New Yorkers now know what they're going to get when, as seems likely, they elect a socialist. It is Friday, October the 17th, 2025.
And that was Stuart Varney, Nonprofit News Now. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Alice Weidel talking about the Green New Deal.
Der Green Deal von ihrer Ursula von der Leyen zerstört die Wirtschaft und Wettbewerbsfähigkeit der EU-Mitgliedstaaten. Das Verbrennerverbot ist der Sargnagel für die deutsche Automobilindustrie. Auch hier tun sie nichts. Sie lassen die Deindustrialisierung und die Verarmung der Bürger durch die Klimapolitik einfach weiterlaufen. Sie laden den Bürgern und Unternehmen zum Jahreswechsel noch höhere CO2-Abgaben auf. Und sie benachteiligen unsere Unternehmen im internationalen Wettbewerb durch diese zusätzlichen Kosten. Im nächsten Jahr tritt zudem das Verbot von Gasheizung durch das Heizungsdiktat der Vorgängerregierung in Kraft. Auch hier tun sie nichts. Wo bleibt also das Verantwortungsgefühl dieser Bundesregierung, endlich das Verbrennerverbot abzuschaffen, endlich das Heizungsgesetz abzuschaffen, die CO2-Abgaben endlich und vollständig sofort abzuschaffen und das Bürokratiemonster Lieferkettengesetz abzuschaffen? Keine Initiative von Ihrer Seite. Und das Problem mit dem Sozialismus ist ja stets, dass einem das Geld der anderen Leute ausgeht.
And so what she's saying is, let's see what we got for there it is. The Green Deal is destroying economies and jobs, burner bans, CO2 taxes, and heating dictation burden citizens and companies. Where's the responsibility of the federal government? We demand the abolition of the burner ban, heating law, CO2 taxes, and supply chain law. And that was Alice Weidel. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now it's time to get motivated.
People want to find peace immediately. They want the quick hit, the easy solution, but easy come, easy go. You'll find real peace by engaging in a battle with yourself.
Make a personal declaration and wage a war against being average. You have full control over your mind. You're at the steering wheel of your life. You dictate what you become. You just have to get a grip and demand control. This situation you're in right now, it's uncomfortable, it's miserable, it sucks, but it's manageable.
If you neglect to program yourself, life will program you. To start reinventing your life, you must consciously and determinedly make a concentrated effort. You must wholeheartedly commit yourself and put everything you've got in it.
But make no mistake about it, it's very challenging to act, to do those things. Sometimes you know what to do, you know you need to do it, but you just don't feel like it. Your feelings will be kicking and screaming that you should just stop.
Most of us yearn for that special feeling of enthusiasm in the morning, feeling like, oh, I feel great this morning. I can't wait to get started on this project, on this job, on this workout. If you're seeking that feeling, let me tell you one thing, it will never come.
You must learn to act even when you don't feel like it. Tap into that savage mentality within you. Do you think a savage cares about their feelings? No! They simply take action, regardless of how they feel. Learn to be your best self, even when you lack the motivation. Stop relying on a feeling to dictate your life. Discipline your mind to get up and get it done no matter what. When things are going bad, those with a savage mindset don't quit. Their only focus is figuring out how to overcome the situation. Quitting is not an option. They strive to thrive, not just survive. It's a commitment, not a feeling. Commitments have nothing to do with your feelings. You do it because you're supposed to. When you get up in the morning, you don't give yourself a choice. You grind no matter what. When you're just not feeling it, you gotta force yourself. When everything in you is kicking and screaming, you have to take control and tell yourself, I do not stop. If you stay in bed, if you stay on the couch, if you stay in your comfort zone, if you only do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, if you get up, if you grind, if you are relentless, if you work as hard as possible, when other people are slacking off, your life will be easy. Don't allow pain to undermine your belief in your potential. Your body hears everything your mind tells it. Any discomfort you experience in a situation is remembered by your body, but it's merely the messenger. Invest in today for a better tomorrow. That's exactly what we're doing here, being smart about it. Mindset comes first. If we aimlessly go through the motions without knowing our purpose, we end up being average, forgotten, unnoticed. Put an end to that. You must be more intelligent than the average person. You gotta work hard and you gotta work smart. Life doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you are. That means showing up every single time on time. Why? Because I strive to be the best. It's a binary choice. Either you are or you're not. Either you excel or you simply won't. You either become what you aspire to be or you don't. It's not influenced by external circumstances, but by internal ones. So get rid of all the excuses and reasons why you think you can't succeed. They are all lies. Every excuse you've ever made in your life is nonsense. because there are people out there who have faced worse circumstances than you, encountered greater challenges than you, endured more struggles than you, and yet they still accomplish their goals every single day of their lives.
The quality of your life comes down to your level of self-discipline. You have to challenge yourself. You have to discipline yourself. You have to encourage yourself. That is the only way you can master yourself. You cannot change your life overnight. You have to take it step by step. You have to get up when you don't want to get up. You have to work out when you don't feel like working out. You have to study when you know you need to study. Discipline is a muscle that you build every single day of your life. It's your job to maintain it, to do the hard things, and train harder and harder every day to get better and better and build a life of greatness.
Who are you when no one is watching? Are you the one who's up before everybody else? Are you up at midnight, 1 a.m., grinding, putting in miles, putting in those extra reps, putting in that blood, sweat, and tears, working on your craft? Because it's what we do when no one is watching that separates the best from the rest. When you do the things most people aren't willing to do, you'll live the life most people never will. When you look back after working your butt off, you will see that every challenge that was ever put in front of you, all the knockdowns, breakdowns, and every bit of the pain and daily struggles will all be worth it.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, a little bit of meditation. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the collapse of parenting.
And here is the most recent listing for the year 2022, with the rank order from the year 2000 shown in parentheses. 1. United Kingdom was number 4 in 2000. 2. Poland was number 8 in 2000. 3. Canada remained number 3. 4. Australia, number 7. 5. Germany remained at number 5. 6. Sweden, number 2. 7. France, number 6. 8. United States was number 1. A professor of economics at Harvard called this drop in the young American workforce a very big puzzle. In a healthy culture, young adults drive much of the growth in the economy. They start new businesses. They are the most likely to become entrepreneurs. Think of Bill Gates launching Microsoft at the age of 20, or Steve Jobs launching Apple at the age of 21, or Mark Zuckerberg launching Facebook at the age of 19. But contrary to a common impression, the United States has become substantially less entrepreneurial over the past 4 decades. There has been a steady downward trend in the proportion of entrepreneurs in the United States since the 1980s, with no taper in that trend line. It's just heading down and down. And when researchers break down the results by age group, the message is clear. The younger you are, the less likely you are to be an entrepreneur. Young adults are now much less likely to be entrepreneurs compared with adults 36 to 50, who are somewhat less likely to be entrepreneurs compared with adults 51 to 64. Researchers have concluded that the rate of new business formation in the United States has been cut in half over the past 35 years. The decline is pervasive. It is seen in all 50 states. It is seen in all sectors of the economy. And it has become more homogeneous across the United States over time. Every region in the USA is affected. As a remedy, researchers suggest liberalized entry of high-skilled immigrants. When I share these findings in a presentation, some attendees argue that while the decline in entrepreneurship may reflect a growing reluctance of young people to take risks, a reluctance to take risks isn't the same thing as a marker of fragility. But I disagree. In fact, I think fragility, in the sense I'm using it here, can almost be defined as the reluctance to take risks. Think of those children at the outdoor kindergarten in Oberammergau, climbing trees and using sharp knives to whittle sticks or chop cucumbers. The growing phenomenon of young Americans who are fragile, who give up easily, who no longer have the drive to start new businesses, may have huge economic consequences, but the causes do not lie in economics. The causes lie in American parenting, which now creates fragile kids in at least 2 different ways. One way is the cult of safetyism just described, which leads kids to be risk-averse. The second is the prioritizing of relations with same-age peers over the parent-child relationship. Prioritizing kids' relationships with other kids over their relationship with their parents results in a shift from an adult frame of reference to a kid's frame of reference. Often, a child or teen just is not that concerned about what her parents think. She's more concerned with what her friends think. You can see that dynamic in play with Aaron, the would-be football player, the boy who gave up after the coach told him he was out of shape. Aaron wants to look cool in the eyes of his friends. When he's playing video games, he's top dog. His friends are impressed by how great he is at the video game. If he returned to the football field, he would be at the bottom of a totem pole, with the athlete at the top and chubby Aaron huffing and puffing far below. Julia is concerned about her friends' opinions, but she is mortified by her own self-assessment. She has constructed a self-concept which is all about being amazing. Her struggles in physics have punctured that bubble, leading to an existential crisis. If I am not the amazing student I thought I was, then who am I? She asks herself, and she has no answer. My assessment is that one cause of the fragility in Aaron's case, as well as Julia's case, is the failure to prioritize the parent-child relationship. Aaron and Julia would be the first to tell you that they love their parents, but they don't really care much about what their parents think. Or more precisely, Aaron is more concerned about what his peers think than what his parents think. Julia is more concerned about her inflated self-concept than about what her parents think. Kids need to value their parents' opinion as their first scale of value, at least throughout childhood and adolescence. Of course, this rule cannot apply if the parents are incompetent or pathological or absent. My assumption in this book is that you are a caring and concerned parent. If that assumption is invalid, then this book is not for you. If parents don't come first, then kids become fragile. Here's why. A good parent-child relationship is robust and unconditional. My daughter might shout at me, "I hate you," but she would know that her outburst is not going to change our relationship. She would know that my wife and I both still love her. That won't change. Peer relations, by contrast, are fragile by nature. Emily and Melissa may be best friends, but both of them know that one wrong word might fracture the relationship beyond repair. That's one reason why Emily is so frantic about checking her text messages every 5 minutes. If Melissa sends a text and Emily does not promptly respond, Emily is afraid that Melissa may misinterpret her silence as indicating a lack of enthusiasm. In peer relations, everything is conditional and contingent. Everything can change in a minute. Aaron doesn't want to look incompetent in the eyes of his peers, not for a week, not for a single day. So he will not risk the humbling experience of being the least fit player. Julia can't bear the thought of being anything other than a top student. So she will not, cannot risk the humbling experience of being below the class average in her physics class. From the adult perspective, she did take a risk by enrolling in AP Physics a year earlier than usual. But from her perspective, that wasn't a risk, just another manifestation of her bloated self-esteem. Her self-concept depended on being number one. When she is no longer number one or close to number one, her self-concept crumbles. I agree with the 2 other physicians who evaluated her that she meets formal criteria for the diagnosis of depression. But the question those other doctors failed to ask is, why is she depressed? The answer is that the bubble of her self-concept has been pricked by the rough burr of reality. And the appropriate remedy for Julia, I believe, is not Risperdal or any other psychiatric medication, but rather for her to construct a different self-concept, one rooted not in extraordinary academic achievement, but in the unconditional love and acceptance which her parents are ready to offer to her. Children and teenagers need unconditional love and acceptance today, no less than they did 30 years ago or 50 years ago. But they cannot get unconditional love and acceptance from their peers or from a report card. That's one factor driving the explosion in the prevalence of anxiety and depression among American teenagers as they frantically try to secure their attachment to other teens, as they try to gain unconditional love and acceptance from sources which are unable to provide it. Many American parents accept this situation as an inevitable consequence of 21st century life, but they are mistaken. In my own practice, I have seen that when teens have a strong relationship with their parents and really care what their parents think, those teens are much less likely to be anxious or depressed than the typical American teen who is more concerned about what the other kids think. All of us, as parents, need to establish the primacy of the parent-child relationship over the peer-to-peer relationship, over academics, over other activities. How to accomplish that? One simple strategy is to schedule vacations just for the family. When your daughter asks whether her best friend can come along on the family vacation, the answer must be no. If the best friend comes along, then your daughter will spend a significant portion of time on the vacation bonding with her best friend. The main purpose of the family vacation should be to strengthen the bonds between parent and child, not to give the kids an expensive play date. Even simpler is to create rituals, such as a once-a-week parent-daughter or parent-son visit to the coffee shop or casual restaurant. Taking a walk together to the coffee shop, if a shop is within walking distance, is a good opportunity to talk and to listen to whatever your daughter or son has to say. The family supper, the family trip to the movies, even a ride in the car, all should provide opportunities to strengthen these bonds. In all your arrangements for your child, try to make connecting with adults a higher priority than connecting with your child's same age peers, or academics, or after-school activities. Prioritize your extended family and your close adult friends in the life of your child. If you have the opportunity to move closer to your child's aunts, uncles, and grandparents, do it. When you are planning a vacation, look for opportunities for your child to connect with her aunts, uncles, and grandparents. You want to give your child different perspective. You want to connect her to your culture. That task is arguably more difficult today than at any previous time in history. Today, the default for most American kids is a primary attachment to same-age peers. There is another important element in Aaron's story, and that is his involvement in social media, linked to his online video games. As recently as 20 years ago, I can recall boys who were in situations similar to Aaron's. They failed to make the team, so they worked harder, got in shape, went back the next week or the next season, and they made the team. Those stories were common 20 years ago. They are rare today. How come? I think the online world is part of the answer. 20 years ago, the internet was slow. Online video games were painfully sluggish. But today's online world provides Aaron with an alternative culture, created mostly by other young people. His parents regard Aaron's immersion in the world of video games as unusual. They wonder why Aaron is not more concerned about being out of shape physically. But Aaron's reference point is not the real world of his parents, but the online world where he hangs with his gamer friends. He is in touch with literally hundreds of other people who are roughly his own age and whose priorities are similar to his. Video games come first. In his online world, his unconcerned, laid-back style is the norm, not the exception. If he were to express an earnest desire to get in shape so that he could play sports rather than spend all his time with a game controller and a video screen, he might get a derisive response from his online peers, or they might think he was joking. Aaron's father isn't sure what to do. He said to me, "Who am I to tell him that he shouldn't go after his dream? I just want him to be happy." That's a common response. The kids themselves often say something along the same lines. Another young person in a similar situation said to me, "I'm just doing my own thing. Whatever floats your boat, you know?" That notion, whatever floats your boat, if it feels good, do it, is now pervasive. The parent-child attachment has to be the first priority. The irony here is that the majority of middle-income and affluent American parents know about attachment. Some of them have even read books about attachment parenting. They know all about offering their newborn baby unconditional love and acceptance. By 6 months of age, a baby who is born to middle-income or affluent American parents is likely to be surrounded with nurturing and love. At 1 year of age, American toddlers are just as competent as toddlers in the Netherlands or New Zealand. But after the second birthday, American parents begin to go astray. Your parenting style has to change as your child grows up. Think of a high school cheerleader. Now think of a varsity high school coach. When your child is an infant or toddler, you play the role of the cheerleader. When your toddler stumbles and falls, then clambers back up again, you say, "Good job, way to go." But as your child gets older, your role must shift. Less cheerleader, more coach. You have to correct, to redirect, to point out shortcomings. If your teenage son can't think of any better career objective than playing video games, then you need to turn off the devices and get him outdoors into the real world. You have to teach your child your values rather than allowing him or her to adopt by default the values promoted by the contemporary culture. The main mechanism by which contemporary American culture today asserts its primacy in the hearts of American kids are social media, high-speed online games, and the smartphone. None of these existed in the lives of American kids 30 years ago. But today, it's common to see an American 4-year-old playing with an iPad, complete with internet access. That's particularly true in affluent communities. And it's becoming common to see an American 10-year-old with her own smartphone. When a 10-year-old is given her own smartphone and she spends more time looking online to see what other kids are doing, the more likely she is to look to them for guidance about what matters and what doesn't. It's crazy for a 10-year-old kid to look primarily to other kids for guidance. But that is what is happening. And the phone separates you from your child. The technology and the devices spread a toxic culture that divides the generations and undermines parental authority. The kids are more likely to understand the technology than the adults are. The 9-year-old easily conquers the vagaries of Instagram and TikTok. Her 40-something parents may struggle, or they may not see the point. Your daughter and her friends are more likely than you are to know how to upload a photo from a smartphone to an Instagram page, complete with digital special effects. That's one reason why your daughter may come to value her friends' opinions above yours. Her friends seem to know more about important things than you do. And the more time she spends on Instagram, the more likely she is to think that knowing about Instagram is important. Some countries have traditions which help to maintain parent-child bonds. In the Netherlands, the majority of elementary schools close at noon every Wednesday so that kids can enjoy some quality midweek time with their parents. Many Dutch employers give their employees Wednesday afternoons off or all-day Wednesday off. Throughout German-speaking Switzerland, most elementary schools close for 2 hours at lunch every day so that kids can go home and eat lunch with a parent. Many Swiss employers accommodate that tradition by giving their employees 2.5 hours off for lunch so that a parent can be at home with the child. We used to do something similar in this country. Growing up outside Cleveland, Ohio, in the 1960s and 1970s, I remember walking home from school for lunch every day. For me, it seemed pointless because my mom had to work and I was walking to an empty home. My parents were divorced. My father lived in Los Angeles. My mother's employer didn't give her a 2-hour lunch break so that she could be at home with her kids. So what are we supposed to do? American employers aren't going to give us, the employees, 2 hours off for lunch. They're not going to give us every Wednesday afternoon off. So we have to fight for supper with our families. Fight for time with our kids. Cancel or forego early evening after-school activities, if need be, in order to have more evening meals together. Your kids can't attach to you if they hardly ever see you. And turn the devices off. In Chapter 1, we considered Dr. Gordon Neufeld's observations on the disintegration of the parent-child bond over the past 20 years. Dr. Neufeld's main idea is that many of the problems we see with North American kids today, the defiance, the disrespect, the disconnection from the real world, can be traced to the lack of a strong attachment between parents and their kids. Or more precisely, to the fact that kids now form their primary attachment with same-age peers rather than with parents. As Dr. Neufeld writes, the waning of adult authority is directly related to the weakening of attachments with adults and their displacement by peer attachments. The results are often downright weird. The wrong attachment style in childhood and adolescence results in the wrong attachment style in early adulthood. The key to healthy child development is to do the right thing at the right time. Throughout childhood and adolescence, the primary attachment of a child should be to the parent. If a child has a strong primary attachment to a parent, from infancy through adolescence, then when the child becomes an adult, that bond will break naturally, as an acorn breaks open naturally at the right time, so that a new tree can grow. Such child, once she becomes an adult, is ready to head out confidently into the real world as an independent young adult. But increasingly, Dr. Neufeld and others are finding that young people across North America are not ready to step into the adult world. The same girl who refused to talk with her mom at 13 years of age is now texting her mom 5 times a day at age 24. The acorn, having broken open too early, does not have the strength to become a tree. Earlier in this chapter, I said that kids need to value their parents' opinion as their first scale of value, at least throughout childhood and adolescence. When I say that to parents, I often get pushback. A parent may say, I think my child needs to develop her own values, independent of what I think. And of course, that's true at the right time. But it's not true at age 9 or even age 15. The result of parents letting kids make all the big decisions at age 9 or age 15 is young adults at age 25 or even 35 desperately calling their parents for help because the young adult is clueless. When kids value their parents' opinion at age 15, they are more likely to be confident of their own judgment at age 25 or 35. That's what I have observed as a family doctor over the past 30 plus years. Parents have to regain the central place in the lives of their children. Same-age friends are great for your child, but your child's first allegiance must be to you, not to her best friend. The contemporary culture of texting, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and online video games has twisted this fundamental reality, promoting and accelerating the premature transfer of allegiance to same-age peers. Why are American kids today so fragile? One fundamental change driving this fragility is the breaking of the bonds across generations, so that kids now value the opinions of same-age peers or their own self-concept more than they care about the good regard of their parents and other adults. The result is a cult of success, because success is the easiest way to impress your peers and yourself. But the cult of success just sets the kid up for catastrophe when failure arrives, as we saw in Julia's case. And failure will always arrive, sooner or later. We all experience failure. The willingness to fail and to move on with no loss of enthusiasm is a mark of character. The opposite of fragility, as we have discussed fragility in this chapter, is the willingness to fail. When kids are secure in the unconditional acceptance of their parents, then they can find the courage to venture and to fail. When kids value the good regard of their peers or their own self-concept above the good regard of their parents, then they lose the willingness to fail. They become fragile.
And that was the rest of Chapter 7, Fragile, of The Collapse of Parenting by Leonard Sachs, MD, PhD, How We Hurt Our Kids When We Treat Them Like Grown-Ups. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that skepticism is doubtful.